Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we are going to recap Fight to Win 204, and we're going to preview Tezos' Who's Number One finale of Who's Next, headlined by Kyle Chambers and Izaak Michell, and Gordon Ryan versus Pedro Marinho. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, joined my co-host,
Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We had about an hour and a half pre-show here to get everything organized, everything together.
And Taco Bell.
And Taco Bell, too. Taco Bell. I'm excited. It's going to be a really good show. We have a little bit of news here, and then really it's just moving into kind of one of the last big events. We have kind of two or three big events prior to ADCC, but I keep thinking we are starting to see probably the last run-up of people moving into ADCC for 2022 here.
Yeah.
And so this will be the first time that we see Gordon Ryan in a bit. We're going to see Pedro Marinho. We're going to see, Izaak Michell coming off his win. Bunch of other guys that won trials here, so should be a very fun show. I love these shows as we get closer to ADCC because you start to get to speculate and break down people's game as they move into ADCC. What you see now from these guys are probably going to be pretty similar to what you see come here September in a couple of months at the World Championships at ADCC. So they're exciting. It's all Nogi because that's what it is nowadays. Before we get into...
Nogi is the money.
Nogi's the money. Nogi is the professional side of the sport.
IBJJF Grand Prix, which is...
Outstanding segue. And so that's an exciting announcement this week.
Yeah, August 12th is the IBJJF Grand Prix in Texas. I forget where in Texas.
This time, the first time, we have it's a women's open weight functionally.
Yeah, they didn't have a weight, but...
Which is awesome because they've run it for men for years and years now, and it's historically kind of been a men's event. I love that they are now making a women's event and showcasing kind of what AJP does with King of Mats and Queen of Mats. They do kind of both sexes there for that event. I love that IBJJF is finally including women in that event. We have one name announced right now as of this recording.
Yeah, which is Bia Basilio.
Bia Basilio, that's a very good name. Very excited to see what she does.
And it is in the gi. So yeah.
Again, the IBJJF GP, as long as they don't...
Have they always done it in the gi? I think every time I've covered it, it's been in the gi.
They had a no-gi one because Gordon Ryan was in it, and then it all fell apart, and it was a big thing.
Because Gordon hasn't done that many IBJJF events.
No, he won the World in 2018, won Pans in 2018, and then kind of went... Guys, basically that was all the kind of criticism back then was like, you can't win IBJJF, and then he went, I'm not going to go to the gi.
He was supposed to do DC Open. And then he was registered for DC Open and then pulled.
And then a bunch of people registered for that division too. That was really fun.
Because it was like Muhammad Ali and all those people.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali registered. That was a fun division. And then he didn't. I was there, and then he didn't actually end up doing it, and then won the Worlds. We also have a men's division announced for the IBJJF,
which is medium heavy.
Have they done a medium heavy before for that? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think they said that it was a new division for them to be doing, and then they announced Gabriel Arges.
Okay, Gabriel Arges is fun.
As their first member of their... I'm trying to read if it's in Austin, Texas, but it's their first medium heavy Grand Prix.
That'll be fun. That's coming up in a month or so, right?
Yep, August 12th.
They always announce it really, really close to the event, and I always thought that was kind of strange when they do it like that. But regardless, should be fun. I'm really happy that they're including
for the females,
women in this one.
They said it's only a 4-person bracket. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 4-person bracket.
Yeah, usually it's only 4. It's usually 4 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a small, weird event they kind of run.
But it's like a lot of money. It's like $20K, something like that. So
yeah, it's always a really high-paid bracket. And again, we always...
Well, I mean, it's not like they don't have the money. I mean, they take it all from us and all their tournament fees.
One of the few things I'm really happy that it's one of the few paid events IBJJF does. It's invite. It's only for a select group.
I wonder where because New York Pro was the other one that you could get paid for, and they're not doing New York events anymore. So I wonder if they're going to move that to Jersey or Connecticut. Yeah,
I'm not sure either. We haven't. That really hasn't been discussed in a while because we haven't seen New York Pro in almost
COVID.
3 years at this point.
Well, before COVID, and then I think there was issues even before that because they want you to have medicals.
They did the blood testing and stuff. Yep.
Because I know if you do a pro event,
and like Kasai had that problem with Gordon a couple years ago.
Well, they have one recently that I was thrown in the mix for, and they wanted me to do all the medicals before they would even match me.
Right. Was it Rise?
No, it was Hudson Valley, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Hudson Valley Invitational.
And I was like, eh. And not like I care. I mean, I could do all the medicals.
Right, but it's just an additional hoop to hurdle through for a grappling event that is uncommon in our sport.
Yeah.
So that is the news for IBJJF.
Yes.
Some other news, too. We had Paulo Paulo Miao, right? Not
Yes,
Joao.
Paulo.
Paulo Miao becoming the kind of
Head coach.
joint head coach with Izaak Michell for Dream Art.
Yeah.
And he's actually leaving. So his brother is staying with the quarantine in New Jersey, in like Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And he is going back. Is it Sao Paulo?
It is yes, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
He's going to Sao Paulo, Brazil to basically be the head coach of Dream Art. And that's, I think, again, a lot of his full disclosure, I don't speak much Portuguese.
Yeah.
Most of Miao's posts are in Portuguese.
So we did see there was something posted today, and it was like a video, and it had his name, and in English it said head coach.
Yeah.
And it said Dream Arts, and then when you hit the translate button on Instagram, it translated it, and you could kind of like make out that they were making him a head coach.
Yeah. Which is cool. Again, he's
great.
He's a world champion. He's, you don't get much higher level at the lower weight classes than him.
He kind of understands the whole live on the mats,
Literally.
Like
if there's a dude that understands live on the mats, it's him.
Yeah, and Dream Arts, I mean, they have a good program where they pay for their board, their food, their travel expenses, doctors, physical therapy, English classes, and jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dream Art's a really cool program.
Yeah.
We've talked about Dream Art over the years,
and
it's a really, really cool program. We're seeing a lot of big people move to Dream Art or fight under Dream Art.
We see a lot of people win tournaments under the Dream Art banner. Yeah,
Muniz won as Dream Art, repping Dream Art. Izaak Michell won.
There was
repping
also
Dream Art.
a female recently. I want to say the winner of the second round of Brazilian trials was from Dream Arts.
Oh yeah, I think you're right as well. But
the over 60 chick was from there.
And I'm blanking on.
I'm blanking on a name, but I know she was from it because there's been a couple people recently that I've noticed. I want to say that I have notes on it, but if my notes actually exist, who knows? But they have a lot of good talent coming out of there.
So that's the Dream Art news. Again, I'm super excited to see what Paulo Miao continues to do with. Everyone's going to get real good at the Baron Bowl.
Joe, if he's going to stay with quarantine or
I think that's what did they say? I think he said he was going to stay. I don't know.
I don't think it. There isn't anything. I didn't see anything saying one way or the other.
Okay.
So my assumption was that he was just staying because him and that whole team, I mean, they're doing very well.
Yeah,
so.
Grippo's down there and a bunch of other folks down there as well. So putting out really funny content. And I like that. So
dude, they're always so covered in sweat.
Yeah, they are.
It just bothers me.
The Unity Way. One other event coming up as well. We got. I'm not sure if we had a date on this prior, but Gordon Ryan versus Felipe Pena is August 7th. I think we had a date for that. I don't really think we've talked about it on the show. I'm amped for that. That's the match. I mean, it's one of 3 Gordon matches, and now probably 4 or 5 Gordon matches that I'm actually really interested in seeing. We have a date. It's coming up next month. We're a little less than a month away at this point.
Yeah.
We're going to see him versus Pedro Marinho, and then the following month we're going to see him versus Felipe Pena, and then we're going to see them all in ADCC pretty much in 99. Is it plus 99 now?
Yes.
Plus 99 is now a murderer's row. I think we have 5 former champions in that division now.
Yeah.
We have Cyborg, we have Felipe, we have Orlando, we have Gordon, and we have Vinny.
Yeah.
Is in that division. All of those guys are former world champions for ADCC. Not all at plus 99 kilogram division, but all former world champions.
Yeah.
So that is a stacked, wild division, getting very spicy for a number of folks. So I have no other news. Any other news that I'm missing?
How about the?
We're gonna talk about it.
What?
But what are you talking about?
I was gonna say all the ADCC changes.
Yeah, so let's talk about ADCC changes.
We have Max Jimenez coming in.
Yes.
To replace Gutenberg Pereira.
Which is so funny because I talked to Max
Did you?
at a tournament. I don't know if Max wants to talk about this. A couple, probably like.
Oh no, I was there with you.
Yeah, I talked to Max. I was like, "Are you?"
It was the Nova. It was what is that? It was Super Fights. But it was in Northern Virginia.
No, not that one.
You talked to him after that?
I talked to him after that. Like
at
New Breed locally.
Oh, okay.
I talked to him.
I was there too. Okay, this is why.
We hang out a lot of
because we hang out a lot of
Max, and I was like, hey, man,
because you were like, hey, man, are you gonna do?
Max was one of the last guys, the first guys I interviewed for ADCC 2019 because I did a photo shoot down at Ground Control for Seth.
Okay.
And he was there because he was opening the gym and running the gym now.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, Max, we did this. Can I do an interview with you before, before I go? Because you're a world ranked guy, you had just had that match with Buchecha that was crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I think that was the day before or the day after he got announced for the plus 99 for the last time. So I asked him again. I was like, hey, Max, you gonna get in? He goes, oh no, I'm not gonna be in. He kind of transitioned over to MMA. He watched his pro MMA fight, his debut on Rob's card a couple of months before, and then to hear Gutenberg drop out and then Max get the invite, I was like, that's a dude. Like, Max is a world-class dude that if you're going to add someone to 99 late replacement, that dude's a dude I want to see.
I knew they were asking a couple other people, too.
Yeah.
It kind of went around, but
I think I'm super excited to see Max back in there. It sucks to not see Gutenberg, because Gutenberg is a guy that has really just changed his game so significantly in the last 3 years and like reinvented himself to compete and contend and beat the top guys in the world. I was so excited. He was going to be my dark horse pick for 99.
Okay.
So it sucks to Max. I mean, Max kind of turns into my dark horse pick at 99 now. But unfortunate to see Gutenberg out. Max Jimenez replaces him at plus 99. Great addition to the division.
And then we have a bunch of we have Devontae going to under 99. He was invited.
Devontae Johnson?
Johnson.
Yeah, because he took second place at
East Coast
Trials versus Fowler.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, versus Fowler. And then so who else dropped out?
But he was brought into under 99, and then there was a bunch of change-ups where Gary Tonin went down to 66.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
It'd be interesting to see him get that small.
I think honestly he has a better shot at 66 than he does at 77.
Oh, I think he does too.
And Mo talked about him being possibly the number 1 seed in 66, and I think that's maybe a little I can definitely see an argument that he could be number 1 seed for that, but
I can see some other people going before him.
Yeah, but I can make an argument for him being number 1. I was going to flip him off. There you go.
Oh.
So that's an interesting change as well. Do you have any other changes that happened this week?
Craig goes to negative 99.
Was that
under
this week?
99. I think
was
so.
that last week?
I don't know. Maybe it was.
So we'll talk about it a little bit now, in case we haven't talked about it. Craig Jones is moving up to under 99 kilogram division because Izaak Michell, kind of his prodigy guy, won trials at plus 99.
Yeah.
Or sorry, under 99. And then Craig and him are going to swap divisions because Craig is a much larger man and can easily make under 99 and be competitive there. And Izaak is, we were talking about, he was a small dude at under 99. He's definitely a solid 88er.
But he did well. He did well.
Yeah, he leveraged his speed super well there. And so, but he's definitely, he would be at the world champion stage undersized for under 99 kilograms. 88 is, and they talked about they didn't put him at 88 because there were other guys from B team that were in that division. They didn't want to have to fight in the trials. So Izaak moving down to the division he should be at, I think makes a lot of sense, especially if Craig, that cut to 88 for Craig is pretty. I don't think it kills him, but I think it's a tough. He has to work to get down there pretty hard. And then he's getting a little older. His 3rd or 4th ADCC. I think it's 4th ADCC at this. At least 4th ADCC at this point. Makes sense for him to move up and be a little more comfortable, and probably still leverage a pretty good speed advantage in the under 99 kilogram division.
And then we move on to the Who's Next finale.
Who's Next finale. Not biggest news. One big piece of news. Tim Spriggs got stripped of the Who's number 1, the Who's Next belt.
Yeah. For not defending his...
Yeah, is that officially why they announced? Did they have an official announcement of why he was stripped?
I don't know. I don't know if my assumption was just because he wouldn't fight for it.
Because basically,
they did strip him.
If you don't know the history, Who's Flow Grappling ran the Who's Next series, which is basically the Ultimate Fighter but for jiu-jitsu. It was a 1-week event, not a month-long event. And the head coaches were Craig Jones and Tim Spriggs. These guys previously had a match at a Grappling Industries up in Philly. It was no time limit. Craig ended up submitting Spriggs with an arm bar, I think what it was.
Well, he says it was an arm bar then, but I don't think he tapped to an arm bar.
Was it a heel hook?
Yeah, I think it was a heel hook.
Okay, so the arm bar, he got out of the arm bar. He got out of the arm bar.
And he says he broke his arm during the arm bar.
Okay. And it was crazy. We actually got footage for that, and you can find it on some of the social media for Grappling Rewind. You want to follow us on social media.
I'm pretty sure Flo posted it.
Okay.
Like right after the whole Who's Next catastrophe in the one episode where they start screaming at each other and going off at each other. I think they posted the video.
Yeah. So they previously faced each other. Craig Jones submitted Tim Spriggs, and there was a big discussion if basically Tim was going to sign the contract to face Craig Jones. Presumably when you run this kind of show, the coaches face off in the finals. and Tim Spriggs maybe didn't seem to do that, or we don't really have a lot of information as to why he was stripped, but presumably because he wasn't going to defend the title.
Spriggs has now been stripped of the title, and that's all it says.
Yeah, and that's all I read this morning when I looked at it.
Yeah.
So that's the news that we have, presumably because he's not going to fight Jones, but we don't really know, with
Ryan
any
has
certainty why that is.
maintained that Spriggs refused the match against him.
Yeah, and that's what Craig's been saying.
yeah.
That's what Craig said on the show. And it's a match I was interested in seeing run back, especially because Spriggs...
No, Gordon Ryan. They offered Gordon Ryan to Spriggs, and Spriggs said no.
Oh, okay.
And that's why Spriggs refused the match against Gordon Ryan, and that's why he got stripped.
Okay, well, that's...
Which, yeah, but doesn't he say in the episode that he would go against Gordon, but not
Craig?
Okay.
Who knows? It's speculation. The
Yeah.
match isn't going to happen. Tim Spriggs, we kind of think is focusing more on professional wrestling as of recently. He's doing a lot more of those shows. Has he said that?
No, but in Maryland, in the general area, he was at this one super fight that we were at recently doing commentary.
Yep, RJJC, he did
and
commentary for half.
He left to go do pro wrestling, and he's been doing a bunch of pro wrestling events in the Maryland area.
And so there's big speculation if he's sort of stepping away and out.
Yeah.
Which, again, would kind of track if you're not gonna fight and defend a title that probably had contractual stipulations for you to do that. It is what it is.
Who knows what the contractual stipulations are, or if there are any.
So that happened. Let's move into. Want to do the recap of? We're going to save the recap to the end. We'll talk about preview first.
Let's go into who's next, and then we can do the recap of Fight to Win at the end.
Moving into who's next. Let's start here. You want to start with Gordon, or do you want to start with Kyle and Izaak? What do you want to start with?
I think we start with Kyle and Izaak.
Okay, so
because that is the finale.
Our two finalists here went through their entire other teams, or they eliminated up the bracket for who's next. We have Izaak Michell, the most recent winner. We just talked about this at Oceanic Trials. He now is in the under 88 kilogram division at ADCC. He won the under 99 kilogram division at Oceanic Trials. Kyle Chambers, we haven't seen him here in a little bit, aside from who's next.
No, we haven't seen much of him at all.
He was injured prior to West Coast Trials. And did he do East Coast Trials either? Do we know?
I don't recall seeing him there.
No, I don't recall seeing him either.
He's kind of somebody that I think we would remember, only because he's a very lanky 10th Planet guy.
He's a very lanky, tall guy with very bright red hair that is very, very hard dude to miss.
Yeah.
Stands above a crowd whenever
Because I remember some of the other guys on this card from that event.
Right.
Just for shits and giggles. So I think we would remember him.
Yes, we haven't seen him. Again, for this dynamic in this matchup, I think, and so going into this matchup, I was like, okay, I know Chambers is a really dangerous leg locker, and that's kind of in leading up to this, and kind of when we thought about how I was going to preview it, I was like, okay, I think Chambers' best path to victory is probably in leg locks. I'm curious how Isaac's leg locks are going to kind of pair with that. And then I watched a preview, and it was Craig Jones talking about Izaak and where he thought Izaak was strongest versus a guy like Chambers. And Craig Jones specifically mentions in one of three things: he was passing, his takedowns, and his leg locks. And I went, okay, well, Craig Jones is now listing that as a strength versus Chambers.
Yeah.
So I would assume he would have mentioned something else if Craig Jones didn't think that that was probably where he had the greatest avenue of strength. And so it really threw off kind of my preview of this matchup of okay, what is Chambers' best pathway to victory in that scenario then?
I mean, he's going to have to pull. Because his wrestling isn't going to be better than Isaac's.
Yeah, Izaak really showed us at the Oceanic Trials, he was taking down dudes in the under 99 kilogram division. I wouldn't say with ease, but he had a speed to him, and he had a dynamism of wrestling. He had a really, really great in his finals match. It was an arm drag, outside shot to the back that he hit and was able to take down off of it. I just don't think that Chambers has a much more high Uchimata outside throw and trip game that I just don't think that Izaak will let him play.
Yeah.
And so I think Chambers is probably here. Again, there's no penalty for it. Probably going to pull. I'm probably going to pull pretty early.
And it is a no time limit match.
Right. So it's the main event, and these things can go long, and there's a reason why we don't see him very often. But I kind of think that Izaak is not going to be
Was it 3G, the one that went forever?
An hour, about an
Yeah.
hour, and the venue was going to close. They had to change the
Yeah.
limits. We've seen a lot of. I've seen plenty of no time matches
Yeah.
over the hours. I watched Keenan and Gordon live. That was 89 minutes.
Okay.
I had a 45-minute no time limit match once.
I'm scared of those things.
You just have good cardio. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
But so again, this could go very long. I don't think that Izaak, and kind of in hearing that interview from Craig, I don't think that Izaak is going to be looking to take it long and deep into the match. I think that he'll probably be, and that may be kind of an avenue that Chambers is looking to go, to kind of wear Izaak out as probably the guy that's going to be exerting a lot of forward pressure and heavy pressure into the guard and passing attempts, and probably because of no time limit match, Chambers will be willing to let him scramble on top and let him move and work, because Chambers is very, very good at getting back to his guard and then fighting offense off of his back. He's so comfortable, like, being in a bad spot and then countering you to a top position or to a leg lock or to an arm bar.
And we saw that in his last match against Tackett. Surprisingly, I didn't think that he was going to win against Tackett. I thought Tackett was gonna dominate, and
Tackett looked really good throughout that match. But eventually, like, Chambers kind of warmed down a little bit, and then was able to kind of bring the speed of the match to something that he wanted to deal with and work. So it's a tactic that we've seen from Chambers before. It wouldn't really surprise me to see him implement it versus Izaak here, especially because Tackett has a crazy gas tank. I know Izaak has a crazy gas tank too, but Tackett's a much smaller man than Izaak, so just sort of by the muscle mass, usually the guys, as you get bigger, 1 or 2 weight classes up like Izaak is, they're just not going to be able to kind of have that ferocious pace for as long of a time. The match tends to slow down. As the match slows down...
Unless you're a freak of nature.
Unless you're a freak of nature.
And there are some of them.
Yeah. But as the match slows down, I think I kind of move it more into Chambers' favor.
Yeah,
but
I think
just don't think that Izaak is going to, like, tactically allow the match to go long in the places where he doesn't want it to.
I think he's going to grind him out. He's going to grab a hold of him and grind him out. And if it goes long, it's going to go long because Izaak doesn't take enough chances or doesn't open up enough. That's where I see it going long, and it goes into Kyle Chambers.
And tactically, that could happen as well, because again, Chambers is really dangerous on the counter. This is kind of been a fun match to preview because there's a lot of different ways it can go. I think a lot of those, again, lead to Chambers not expending a ton of energy at the beginning of the match and letting Izaak, like, kind of go through and pass and move and, like, have to fight him, and Chambers throwing up counters to a lot of the offense that Izaak is throwing. I do think that we will probably see Izaak be able to get to the back in one of those scrambles and when Chambers is trying to play off counter offense here, and we'll see, because it has to end at a finish. I think that's probably the sequence that we see Izaak hit. Some sort of probably...
like a back attack to a strangle. I hate that term.
I hate that it's called strangle. To a choke.
To a choke.
Yeah, because you're choking the arteries.
Yes.
I think we'll probably see like an outside, like a knee cut over. We'll see Chambers tech up and try to, like, roll through to the leg. We'll see Izaak follow him on the turn and then crush down and then either throw hooks in or throw a hook in and then throw the choke in. And then Chambers is notoriously really hard to finish. He'll probably have to get body control on him, which will take a time. We may see Chambers get out once, and then we'll see Izaak have to go back to that sequence. But I think inevitably probably ends up on the back. Given kind of the change of the styles with what Craig's saying with the leg locks, it wouldn't surprise me to see Izaak throw into, like, a topside heel hook from Chambers' open guard. Probably an inside heel hook from Chambers' open guard when Chambers going to fence at his hip. Those are sort of the avenues to victory. If it does go long, again, could absolutely see Chambers getting an armbar. But I think the match would have to go long there, and you'd have to tire Izaak out. And nothing from Izaak has really shown me that is a scenario we are likely to see him in. But again, if we had to pick methods victory for both people, I think that's probably where it goes.
And next we have Gordon Ryan versus Pedro Marinho.
This is another fun one. So
this is a 30-minute match.
So let's talk about two things. Pedro Marinho super game. We all know that. He's real good. It's fun. It's a fun matchup. He's a 205-pound champion for who's number one. Gordon Ryan is big as shit right now.
We don't really know.
So
it could be camera tricks.
So we Instagram stalked him at length today. The whole team kind of did. Because
it's just because he's been posting.
He's been posting a lot.
He's been posting some pictures that are suspect.
He posted a picture of Felipe Pena, basically, and then he posted
a picture of him, like, I don't know what the
after a lift or something.
What is the lift called?
The bench press?
Is it a bench press?
Gordon Ryan
I don't know anything about
a video of him
I know
bench
nothing
pressing.
about lifting. I literally go, Rob, what do I lift? Okay, this is what you need to lift, Miranda. Okay, I don't know what things are called.
So he put up like 225 for like 15 reps or something like that. And then we all extrapolated probably what his 1 rep max was. And it was a very interesting exercise. And basically he was going, we think Gordon Ryan is putting on a bunch of size, because he posted a picture like today.
But it was also a grainy picture.
It was a grainy picture, and the other pictures around that picture, he doesn't look that big. But in the shirtless picture and in the shirtless picture, Gordon Ryan,
the circus picture?
Shirtless.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm full of Taco Bell.
I was like, is there a circus picture? I want to see him at the circus.
He looks straight up 250 plus.
Yeah, he looks
in both of those
big.
pictures of him post pump in the gym. He looks massive. Pedro Marinho is 220, maybe 210. Like, I don't think Pedro Marinho's sitting comfortably at 220 most of the time.
No.
Like, he's, I think historically, like a 205er.
Yeah.
Roughly with a little bit of a cut to make it down there. We've seen him fight bigger guys like Cyborg, but the big question we have going into this match is,
what is Gordon Ryan's gas tank like?
Pretty much. Like,
because if he's like 250, like, you got to wonder how long he can move that 250 for.
3 things. We saw him in the Philip Rowe match, and we saw him, it was an exhibition match, and it was basically Gordon trying to, like,
sub
put a
him
bunch of
as
subs,
many times as possible,
and didn't sub him 10 times. Subbed him
and got
3 or 4, maybe.
Got a little pissed off.
Got a little tired.
Yeah,
and we saw him like. And
he got a little frustrated.
It was his first match back in a year.
Yeah,
and we were all like, okay, like, I don't know what this is gonna look like. It's Gordon's
like
first match
it's
back.
It's like ring rust, but it's whatever the grappling version of ring rust is.
And so after that. And he got tired. And I was like, ooh, Gordon got tired in a way we haven't seen him really get tired ever.
But then he turned it on.
Then he turned
it wasn't
on.
like he wasn't able to do that.
Then we saw him versus Wagner Hosha.
Yeah.
I think that was after. Was it after?
No, it was before.
Okay. The Wagner match was a fun
Wagner
match.
was an older match because...
Okay.
Yeah.
We saw him versus Jacob Couch.
Yeah, that was after.
After that. And Gordon, again, like, he was in dominant position most of the match, in the top mount, in the side control. He had to fight off like a false reap at one point that he did in a really nice sequence. Gordon imposed from the top. Didn't look like he was gassed, but didn't look like he was like real comfortable at the pace.
But Jacob Couch also wasn't working him the same way that Pedro Marinho has the ability to do so.
And we have seen Pedro Marinho break dudes with gas tank.
Yeah.
Like, we watched his matches with Roberto Jimenez, like another guy who's notorious for just coming at you.
Yeah.
And both Pedro and Roberto Jimenez have had, I think, 3 or 5 matches together, because they're both local Texas guys.
Yeah.
We've seen 2 of those matches where they just both full speed run into each other the duration of the match till someone gets subbed or goes to decision.
Yeah.
And not many people can run at Jimenez's speed for the whole time like Pedro Marinho. Their brown belt matches are just absolutely crazy. I think Pedro Marinho is going to try to put a pace on Gordon and tire him out, especially if Gordon's looking that big.
That's the only benefit that Pedro really has.
Yeah.
It's the only thing he can... I mean, not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying when you go against somebody who's a mountain of a person who's talented like Gordon Ryan, the benefit that Pedro has being smaller is...
He's not going to get as tired, and he can outwork you.
Yeah, he's going to have to try to outwork him. And that may work, that may not work.
So I'm curious also how long Pedro's going to keep this on the feet. Because we've seen Gordon play from the feet. We've also seen Gordon happy to sit versus guys that are good presser wrestlers, like force them into his passing game. You're probably going to have a pretty difficult time passing Gordon Ryan. Pedro is a guy that can contend with Gordon, is willing to contend with Gordon in the wrestling. And also he's a guy with not a whole lot to lose here. Like,
he has nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose versus Gordon, because it's like everyone kind of like goes, Gordon's probably going to win this match. It's fine. On to the next match. For Pena, that's the one match everyone's worried about. Pedro Marinho goes, no, I'm going to beat Gordon Ryan here. What's my pathway to do that? I'm going to just throw everything at him and force that guy to catch me if he's going to get me, but I'm just going to impose my cardio and will on him. Does that in standing. I think he probably is quick enough to Gordon that Gordon's going to struggle to easily take him down unless he can just overwhelm him and get on top of him and snap him down and sprawl him down. But Pedro's really quick.
But I think also Pedro's, he's at least has the wrestling acuity to be able to not just get snapped. You know what I mean? Like he's not a beginner wrestler.
No, but I think that if Gordon really ends up having 30 plus pounds in this match on Pedro, and he can lean and Pedro decides to clinch with him, can Gordon, like, what can you do with 30 extra pounds with kind of the skill set that Gordon leverages?
I mean, you can do a lot with 30 pounds. Like, as a smaller person.
Yeah.
Most people are 30 pounds bigger.
Small people gang.
Yay.
Miranda and I are both featherweight people.
Yeah,
so,
we're little people. I'm smaller now, but won't be for very much
But I
longer.
just think that, like, that's an avenue. You tire him out in the wrestling because standing with a guy that's going to move as much as Pedro's going to be tired, I think Gordon will either is able to get him down or will pull.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that Pedro will probably be able to take Gordon down. I think he will probably run him off the edge once, and Gordon will go, okay, snap down, come in, and then make a tactical change there and pull. Then we're in Gordon Ryan's open guard with Pedro Marinho trying to outside pass. He's not going to engage super close to Gordon,
which would be stupid if he did.
Right, because Gordon's going to turn you over and he's going to grab your leg, he's going to heel hook you, he's going to take your back from those positions. So you want to outside pass things like Toriando, things like
you think we're going to get
stepping passes.
We're going to get one of those stupid cards that he does before the match saying how he's going to win the match before he does it?
I don't know. I think he's done that. I think he's gotten the Galvao match.
Yeah.
He's gotten the Pena match now. Like,
so
those were sort of where he was pushing to show how good. Like, we all kind of know, like, what we all know he's good.
You don't think he needs to show off anymore?
I think I don't know. Neither would surprise me with Gordon, but I think he's probably doing this as a prep for ADCC in a way where the other matches like needed to have their own hype.
Yeah.
He now is prepping for ADCC. He doesn't want to he will try to win matches how he needs to win matches now, as opposed to make a statement and a stand about like the matches. Again, with Gordon, historically, he's always had a point to prove at every match. Like everything he goes into, he has a point to prove for something.
At least when the Henzo people in the past, when I've seen them at tournaments and they've been around, they were always kind of told what to do for each tournament. So they were always told, like, you're going to win by this. And then all their matches had to go that way.
Right.
And that's how they were kind of taught to prep for tournaments and compete. So I'm just curious if he does it anyway, just to do it.
Right.
Because, I mean, it might be something that, and his coach's name completely fell out of my head. John Donner fell out of my head. That's how tired I am right now. It could just be how John operates.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
He tells them ahead of time, and so it's just kind of like an additional thing for them to do.
I don't know. Neither would surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me to see him just take this as a regular match versus a guy that's going to have a lot to throw at him.
Yeah,
like you want to take what you can get there, and I think Gordon could probably, given 30 minutes and given his druthers, could probably, do what he wants. But he didn't do that for Deniz.
True.
And Pedro is also like,
but Deniz was a while ago.
It was, but I'm saying like we have seen matches where he decides to not do that,
do some kind of crazy madness.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me to have this just be a match that he is going to try to win in preparation for Pena, in preparation for ADCC, where it's like that is the point of the match.
Yeah,
to go be imposed at that size.
Yeah,
versus get to a point where you can triangle a guy from mount or something like that.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Into his guard. So Pedro probably will try to outside pass him. I don't think we'll be able to establish a top position on him. We'll probably jump over for the guillotine.
Yeah.
We're going to see him loop for the guillotine. I think we'll probably at one point in this match see Gordon have to defend a couple of chokes. And I think that will be really interesting because we'll see, like, he'll have to fight. I think with one of the chokes.
You mean some strangles?
Some strangles, yeah. He'll probably guillotine choke.
Guillotine strangle.
I think, and that's probably, what he will do to counter Pedro's top pressure here is we're going to see him fight the hands, pull him, and then turn Pedro over in a jumping guillotine attempt through the guard. and then settle Pedro down, and then get him on top, and then mount like he did, similar to Couch, hold him down, and then armbar like he did to Jimenez.
Okay.
Like, I think that's the sequence that we're going to see is like, boom, I get you, like, you're hard to hold of, you're hard to get a hold of, I'm going to counter you off of the guillotine I know you're going to try to take, and then I'm going to get on top, go through my passing sequence, hold you down in the side control, mount, and then armbar.
Okay.
Would be the sequence that I think. Do you see something different happening there for a Gordon sequence, or like a different pathway that he gets on top?
I think triangle over armbar.
You think triangle from the back? Or triangle from the mount?
No. I mean, triangle from the back, I
mean, the last time we saw him pull a triangle from the guard, the one that really stands out to me is Josh Barnett. The Josh Barnett one.
Not really from the guard. I don't see him really doing anything except for like heel hooks or go for the legs.
Right. Yeah, we haven't seen him really do a leg in a while. It would be interesting to see. Pedro Marinho is also a really quick leg locker, and Gordon tends to not shoot out with leg lockers anymore.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. You never know.
It should be fun. Again, we're looking for Gordon to probably...
because he's so big, and if he is as big as he seems to be, I don't see you having a need to play guard at that point. Like,
right.
Because you're going to get mount. And as soon as you get mount, you're going to keep mount because you're ginormous.
Yeah, and you have an amazing mount
And
pressure
I don't know
game.
why you would, and this is just maybe me, like I was always taught that you don't sit back for an armbar from mount.
Right.
Because then if you miss your armbar, you're fucked.
Right.
Like, and they're on top of you. At that point, you just take whatever you can get from that position, or you take the back from there. But you don't put yourself to a less dominant position from a dominant position.
Yeah, how did he hit the armbar? Do you remember how he hit the armbar for Jimenez? I thought it was off the top from mount.
I don't remember. I know Couch, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He didn't even...
Couch was like a chest crush.
Yeah, he didn't... He never... Well, when he went to line up the armbar, I think he just like sat on him and was like,
put all of the air and will.
Well, it was kind of like... I had a teammate that I always joked around. I always said he like would sit on me like a pirate, like the pirate, like the bird.
Yep.
Because like that's how I felt every time he tried to armbar me. Was like all of his entire body sitting on my shoulder.
On your shoulder. You can't. Yeah. I'm not going to move a whole person off of my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of, I think, what he was trying to set up with Couch. Couch just didn't want it.
Do you think he goes to mounted triangle here on Pedro, or tries to set that up?
I mean, Okay. Either that or going to his back.
Do you see this going to decision or no? 30-minute match. Like a long match.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't think it goes to decision.
I think Pedro has... I think if it goes to decision... I don't know. Because I think Pedro has the ability to gas him out and get him late. But I don't know if Pedro just skirts in the entire match for 30 minutes and tries to wear him out and he doesn't get worn out and it just becomes a stalemate, then it's going to go to Gordon. They're not going to give it to someone else.
Especially if you're trying to tire the guy out and you're not doing a whole lot. You're just trying to tire him out versus Gordon's going to come forward and try to force you to engage.
Yeah, then it almost always goes to Gordon. So it's kind of like it's either going to be a stall out, which is going to be annoying as hell for 30 minutes, or it's going to be one or the other. Or it's going to be a sub.
Yeah.
But it's going to, I think...
all of the possible options.
Yeah, I think either Gordon quick, Pedro if it goes a little bit longer, or stalemate.
I don't see Pedro subbing him unless it is a jumping guillotine over the guard, and even then I would be shocked that is the outcome, because I think that Gordon will go out before he'll do it.
I like dark horses, so I'm always...
And you always like the dark horse pick.
So I like the Pedro Marinho, choking the shit out of him.
So
that's my...
And that's where we leave it. Next match, let's talk about Andrew Tackett versus Rene Souza. These were two guys that were on Who's Next. Again, this whole card is full of guys that are on Who's Next. And
they both got to the same round, I believe, because I believe Andrew Tackett lost to Kyle Chambers, and Rene Souza lost to a gentleman that I can't remember.
I forget who.
He was a younger kid from Brazil. Coming up in the ranks, and
well, you talked about Keith breaking down that match between Rene and him, and I'm blanking on the guy's name.
Yeah, on Keith's Patreon account, which I'm part to, because I like Keith. I like the way Keith breaks things down, and he has been putting a lot up recently. And I'll tell you because I'm looking at it right now. Jansen Gomez.
Yeah,
that's who it was. Gomez, he was breaking down that match, and he said that he knew Renee, and that Renee was trying to kind of wear out Jensen Gomez.
Again, in no time of the match, that's a very viable strategy. These are all 15-minute matches here.
Yeah.
On who's
next?
Who's number one? Who's next?
Yeah.
You have two who's in that. Like
yeah.
we're asking a lot of questions. Like why I gotta look at a Little Caesars
and
promo every 30 minutes.
We can blame Tezos.
Yeah. Tezos, who's next? Who's number one? Finale.
15-minute match.
So I don't think that Renee is going to be able to tire Tackett out in 15 minutes.
No,
here.
I don't think so at all.
Tackett has a crazy gas
We
tank.
saw Tackett do how many matches over 15 minutes? Like
a bunch.
Quite a bunch.
Yeah.
And then
we also seen Tackett in no time limit matches at Who's Number One versus Damian Anderson.
Yeah.
Like the dude is very hard to make tire. He's in very good shape.
I watched him at the EBI thing, and it wasn't Midwest Furnishers. It was one of the
Emerald
other
City.
Emerald City. Yeah, that was it. And he was going.
And we've seen him on
into
Jits
overtime
King.
over and over and over. You know, he has a gas tank. He's also a very young child. So
I mean, he's like 19 now.
I don't know.
Something
is he?
like that. I think he's 19. I think he's 19.
Okay, maybe not child.
I think
Grown man.
that Tackett is probably going to take this by sub. Wouldn't surprise me to see this be an armbar or like a leg lock, like a heel hook on the outside. But Renee, we know, has a good guard. I'm in this match. The Jensen Gomez match kind of sits really heavy in my head.
Yeah.
Of like what was Renee's strategy going into that? If you're trying to deal with a physical, strong guy, Jensen's again a much bigger guy. Yeah. Tackett's going to be a smaller guy. Is Renee going to implement that same kind of thought process and game plan for that, or what is going to look to play a counter game off of the heavy offense that Tackett's going to play? There's a lot of kind of X factors in this match for where it's going to go, and I wish I had kind of a better thought for the match, but these are two guys that are kind of very rapidly developing their game.
It's true.
And we keep seeing huge like leaps of improvement in Tackett every time we see him on a trials or another event. Like he shows us different folds of his game, and Who's Next showed us a lot of other folds to his game, and then he can take that a bull and like neat stuff like that. What do you think here? Do you think he's able to submit Renee in the time limit, or like how do you see him being able to?
I think he's able to submit Renee in the time limit. I think because Renee comes up from the 10th Planet Finishers kind of world, EBI world, he's okay going into bad positions and then kind of working out of them because there's no points associated with them.
Right, and the same thing, that's the case for this one too. There's no points. You have no penalty for bad position.
But I think allowing someone like Andrew Tackett into a bad position with you is a bad idea. Yeah. Because he's not...
He's so good at finishing.
He will definitely take it out on you. Like it's not... You're going to get in that bad position, and I mean, you might get out of it once, but you're going to get out of it maybe one time before he then, He'll
make a change to that submission or technique or how he did it.
And he's been doing this his whole life, so it's not like he doesn't have the ability on the fly change things. Right. So, and I've seen him do it time and time again in matches. So I think Tackett will be able to sub him.
Do you have a method, you think, or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm not a good method person unless somebody has like a really like that's all they do.
I think Tackett's going to hunt for it so hard. Again, I think Renee will look for opportunities to counter it.
I mean, because Renee's going to go for heel hooks.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of know that. We know that.
He likes that, and he's good, and he's very good at them.
I think also Tackett is the type that if he even gets a bad heel hook, Tackett might just let you blow it out.
A little bit.
I think he might.
He's not an ACC. His brother is.
Yeah. So I think he might let you, take his leg off.
It's going to be hard to leg lock him. Again,
he's going to pull up.
He's smart. He's smart enough to tap. Yeah. We saw it at Who's Next.
But he might pull a meow and just let it.
Pop a little bit.
Let it fly.
Yeah. So again, I'm going to take Tackett. I'm going to take him late.
Okay.
Late by I'm going to go armbar.
Okay.
But rear naked choke, he really likes him and his brother really like the rear naked choke. Yeah. It's just can you flatten Renee down long enough to be able to force him to give you his back.
Tackett has the ability to like fly over him.
Yeah, but I
like,
think that Renee can track him in that.
True.
And that's my thing. Is like I don't know if he will be able to get behind Renee to be able to get his back like that because Renee's
if he does get
so
behind him, it's going to be like a jump. It's going to be some kind of crazy acrobatic.
He's gonna jump around him literally and then try to get his back from there. So let's go on to this match next. We have a replacement match. We were supposed to see Andy Varela versus Jay Rodriguez. It was one of the matches I was most excited for on the card. Andy Varela is out. Was it injury?
I don't know.
I really hope it's not injury because it's so close to ADCC.
He had a hand injury.
Yeah, but no injuries. No injuries.
He had a hand injury from Who's Next? From first round of Who's Next.
So no injuries. Andy Varela is totally fine. He's good to go. ADCC.
He is fun to watch. He
is my 77 dark horse.
Is he?
That Varela is a guy that like at trials like you're giant. You're a good wrestler. You're putting on guys in the quarters and the semis that are good wrestlers. Yeah. And like making them tired and like I gotta wrestle you. Like,
and it could just be a situation where he maybe has something that's bothering him and he's like, I don't want to have this happen.
I'm going into ADCC.
Yeah. Why
nothing else matters for ADCC. Yeah. Again, hope Varela is healed up because I want to see that dude. That was an invite that I was very happy to see. I want to see that dude in ADCC. We do get a very, very good replacement in Giancarlo Bodoni.
Yeah.
So it's Giancarlo Bodoni versus Jay Rodriguez. And for me, this is what improvements has Rodriguez made since trials and since Fury and since basically the last time we saw him and since last week when we saw him versus a bunch of people on the UFC Invitational.
Okay.
Like, looks like the same guy. Bodoni has had amazing performances and has performances that are like a little bit, a little like hot and cold.
Yeah.
When Bodoni is on, this is an extremely hard match for Jay Rodriguez. These guys are both at 88 in ADCC, right? Bodoni's not 77.
No, he's 88.
Yeah, he's 88.
Because he went against Ferrante. And Ferrante was 88.
Ferrante was 88. Yep. Yeah. I had to coach against him and Gordon, and that was rough at East Coast trials. Last match.
That was an experience.
It was last match day one, and so this is a really tough match for Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez is a better wrestler. We've seen Bodoni kind of stifled by good heavy wrestlers like Elder Cruz. He has some, he's gone back and forth with Elder Cruz in close matches with whether wrestling for Cruz was a factor. But we've also seen him like last week versus PJ Barch. Beautiful foot sweep, takedown Barch, who is, again, a good wrestler in his own right. And, like, it is one of the guys in the division. Like, oh, yeah, he comes from a wrestling background and has good wrestling. J-Rod, I think, is going to be one of the better wrestlers in the division because he is a wrestler that has been learning jiu-jitsu. Oh, also, because I forgot to mention it, his brother, Nicky Rodriguez, got brown belt this week.
Oh, okay.
Or, like, last week. I think this week or last week.
Okay.
I think from Craig, but I don't know.
I would assumed Craig.
But it was a picture of them at B Team with a belt, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I like that. Again, I like guys getting belts. It's always a very exciting time. He looked very happy about it, even though they only trained in
if you have nothing to do, go to the B Team YouTube page too.
Dude.
It is hilarious. It's both hilarious and they do so many just open, like just grappling sessions. Like, let's see such and so versus everyone in the room. And it's fun to watch. It definitely is. And it's a lot of breakdowns too, which is nice.
Really, really, whoever like that team running that content is doing a great job for that.
Yeah.
I wish we saw more other teams doing content like that and getting us get to know the team.
Well, because you have the old school philosophy that they don't want their secrets, told.
Yeah, and I understand that. I mean, it's a pro sports team, but again, the showing the personality of the B team kind of is headed by Craig Jones, and they like these big personalities.
And it makes you want to go there. It makes you want to go there.
I definitely, if I go to Austin, like that's the gym I'm dropping into. There are great Sanji's there. There are a bunch of great gyms in there. Yeah. That's the gym I'm dropping into for all of the reasons we talked about. So. Again, non sequitur here, but this is a really tough match for J-Rod. I think that he is going to be able to contend with Bodoni in the wrestling.
Yes.
Bodoni has gotten slick. He's got some really great wrestling moves, but I think that you're just probably not going to be able to take J-Rod down coming so recently from the scholastic wrestling environment and training with his brother and Craig Jones, where they're really takedown focused. Again, Bodoni is as well at New Wave with Gordon, also in Austin, Texas. It comes down to the guard of like, can Bodoni sweep J-Rod down, or can he pass? And I think he probably can pass. We saw him, throw a passing clinic versus Barch, who was, again, at 77, so Bodoni had some size on him, being a guy at 88. I think we've seen a lot from J-Rod's guard. We've seen him rely heavy on the buggy choke here and there, especially in the finals of West Coast Trials when he finished Tucker Colvin with it.
Lately, he has been hitting buggy chokes left and right.
But I think that we see Bodoni play a really, I'm not going to say cautious, but
you want to, because J-Rod and Nicky Rod both, that train together, both go from 0 to...
They explode. They're some of the best people in the sport for exploding.
And they just keep on going. Like, it's unrelentless once it starts.
So I think in this match, we're going to see... I can't figure out how the sequence is going to happen, but I think we will see Bodoni... We could see Bodoni play from his guard. Yeah. Because J-Rod, I think, will be able to stifle the wrestling that Bodoni puts forward. But then we have to see J-Rod pass. I think Bodoni will be able to sweep him over unless J-Rod is super, super diligent about the distance he has to maintain to outside pass Bodoni. Because he can't inside pass Bodoni.
No, he's going to have to outside pass.
He's going to outside pass Bodoni. Bodoni is also really good at countering the outside passer and really good at getting his legs involved, getting his hips to the chest. He is very dynamic at all ranges in his guard retention at 88 in a way that some guys aren't. And so it's a sweep game. You put J-Rod on his back, which is probably where you want to do it, or you want to try to leg lock him. Bodoni's definitely a good leg locker, but we've seen him get heel hooked by guys like Nick Ronan, and we've seen him run into some problems with leg locks here and there. J-Rod is not a guy I would know as a phenomenally talented and gifted leg locker. He's learning there. He's a new purple belt, right?
Yes.
Technically. So he's probably not going to take him into the leg lock game. So we're probably going to see Bodoni try to sweep him, try to get on top, and try to implement a passing game where we've seen J-Rod struggle a little bit and then impose just a top pressure positional game on him, and then either try to get to his back, which you're going to have a hard time choking J-Rod because J-Rod's got really, really good ability to turn out, or try to maintain a mount, kind of like Gordon's been doing to people, but I think J-Rod is so dynamic, you're going to struggle with that, and he's going to stand back up and force you to wrestle him back down.
Yeah.
So I think that this is probably a match Bodoni wins close, but we see a lot of folds and wrinkles that J-Rod will begin to work on in the next couple of months from this match.
I think J-Rod can win. I think J-Rod could turn up the explosiveness and win.
You think just on the judges? Or how do you think? You think he gets past the guard?
I mean, in West Coast Trials, he was jumping people's backs and just climbing up them.
Yeah.
And he was finding ways to get around, either from outside passing to just dynamic movement. And I think he could do that.
I didn't think about that. He's a really, really good scrambler in a special way.
Started,
like his brother
for whatever
is.
reason, they started posting, or he started posting a bunch of videos from trials of him just jumping people's backs, or just going.
I know
from,
the highlight talking about.
Yeah, or just going from more like a referee's position, just all of a sudden being on. And even when they stand, he just somehow attaches himself and goes after him.
I think that is definitely a possibility. I think.
But the problem is Bodoni isn't probably going to stand with him long enough for that to happen.
And that's sort of my a tactical choice.
Normally he gets there by standing and then passing around and either
someone will expose their back because it's not guarded by the mat. Essentially, which is sort of what happens with Nicky Rod. When he can't get his back.
Nicky Rod just snaps people into oblivion.
Yeah. But I'm saying,
I don't think Jay has that ability.
He gets people's back off the mat in a similar way that J-Rod does.
Yeah.
J-Rod's a little bit quicker, but at the weight class, if you look at the difference between 88 and plus 99, similar quickness in the weight class.
The only thing I think of is that if Bodoni is playing off his back, if he's playing guard, and somehow J-Rod can get around him into his back from either him trying to maintain his back and him just I don't know. I don't even know how to explain how he gets to people's backs because
pretty wild.
You watch it and it's
kind of
just,
like Make a Galvao, where
you just
teleports. End up there.
He just teleports to the other side. So I mean, if Giancarlo isn't very careful about always maintaining an underhook or trying to block his back, like J-Rod might just teleport to his
There's
back.
a stylistic thing
there.
with how Bodoni tends to play on the bottom is that he tends to play more flat. We don't typically see him sit up. How we do sometimes, but he does tend to play a little more
He plays
back.
like the unity, like flat on your back, your legs up kind of.
And that's sort of why I think it's like for the stylistics of how J-Rod tends to get to people's back, that's hard to do.
But then you just go after their legs. Then you start trying to heel hook them, and they sit up to protect their feet, and now they're sitting up in a position they don't want to be in, and then you take their back.
I think it's definitely possible. I just think that it is a stylistically tough match for
it'll be interesting
J-Rod.
for both of them.
And I think that Bodoni can take this by decision, by the positional control that he will be able to do.
Do they have decisions in this?
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
They do.
It's not the stupid draw bullshit.
No, they know that. Yeah, don't give me draws. So that's how I think it goes. But I definitely think I see a pathway for both for victory. Yeah. I just see a more probable pathway to Bodoni for a tactical, like, I'm going to put this guy in a place that he's going to struggle a little bit and then turn him over and then be able to work on the top. It's killing me, the guy that he just fought, that J-Rod just fought, old school guy at UFC Invitational.
I didn't watch that.
Yeah, it's killing me.
But I'll look at it.
And it's a guy we covered on Shugio. And it's just, I can't remember.
I know
his
who you're
name.
talking about because I saw the picture of him recently.
So next match we have, they have him listed as Big Dan.
I know.
Big Dan Manasori versus Tristan Overeem. Tristan is the guy that had it was an Adam Bradley match, right? In the first Who's Next match. It was a 3-hour match.
Yeah, he did.
That he just like...
He dominated him for
I mean, in the highlight especially, we saw like just Adam Bradley escaping. And even in the last sequence, it was like 3 different submissions that he had on Adam Bradley before Adam Bradley finally like counters and then chokes. And you just went, dude, A, how fucking tough is Adam Bradley?
Yeah.
B, like...
Well, Adam Bradley is a smaller dude that comes from... Atos. So he has all those big guys.
He's not worried about like I'm getting crushed again. Like my coach is Andre, and then Hulk, and then Kainan, and then like Gustavo, and then Dominic Bell. Like all of those guys are guys that are like, well, I'm gonna put it on you.
Yeah. It's a rough room.
It's definitely a rough room.
Definitely a rough room.
So that's the person that we saw Tristan versus. Tristan's a little bigger. He's not as big as Big Dan. I'm guessing
he's a purple belt from Pedigo, and he was a wrestler and former MMA fighter.
We're gonna see Big Dan sit. We saw him stand a little bit at the UFC Invitational, but he did. Most matches we see him sit, and so we're gonna see Big Dan sitting, looking for the heel hook. Tristan trying to pass, being willing to wrestle a guy from seated guard. Do we think that he can? Do we think that the guys at Pedigo have been able to get him a leg lock defense?
If you think about it, he probably goes against Couch. Couch would be a good.
Yeah, Couch isn't 290 though.
Yeah,
like Couch is 2 something.
2 something.
I mean, go back and watch the interview with me at West Coast Trials with Couch. Like Couch is a head taller than me, if then some.
But do they really have someone that large?
Do they have someone like Big Dan? Is a unique challenge for guys that don't have a lot of experience at the world level with like the mosaic of different like physical attributes. Yeah. Big Dan is a really hard guy to replicate in the room. Like you have guys that are 240, 250, 260, but they tend to get a little softer. To have a guy like Victor Hugo that's 240, 250 solid. To have a guy like Big Dan that's 290, like that's a tough stylistic matchup.
But he's also a blue belt at 290. So
he's a blue belt at 290. But again, you're that world class.
Tristan is a bigger dude, and he's a purple belt. So and he's a former MMA fighter.
Just do belt math.
So I mean, you think
that's grappling.
because you think about it, like 50 pounds. It depends. Yeah,
50 pounds at ultra super heavyweight though means a little different.
It does. But it's not like Big Dan is like he's jacked, but he's not like Gordon Ryan jacked.
I don't know. Allegedly, from what Mo says, Big Dan is like the strongest people he's ever had to deal with. There was apparently in the story he tells is there's a safe at Mo's place. They were at Puerto Rico. They were the movers, like 4 movers, couldn't move.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to figure out how to get it out of the upstairs or how to get it in the upstairs. And apparently Big Dan lifted the safe and just walked it up the stairs. And so,
Okay,
if you see him, you're like, oh yeah, that's a different, strong kind of dude.
Yeah.
In these matches where we're kind of like in the matches with Big Dan, that I am like questioning how he's gonna do, I will always sort of leverage to that, just like, what do you have that the other guy probably hasn't seen and dealt with?
And he also has a lot probably larger, more talented guys that he rolls
He has fucking
with.
Gordon Ryan.
That's what I mean.
As
that
one
he
of his
rolls
main
with
training partners.
regularly.
It's like a guy that's 250.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go Big Dan on this just
I'm gonna
because
go Big Dan as much as I don't want to.
because of attributes and
Yeah.
because of like he's gonna come in, and again, the game that Big Dan tends to play is like, I sit, you come in, I heel hook. He will stand with you, he will wrestle now and again, but usually, especially if he has size parity, like his game, and somebody on Reddit I think said this, like his game is catered around beating big guys at his division. Yeah. So like when there's a size discrepancy, we saw that versus Tackett. It was like, it's kind of weird. We've seen him like sit versus littler guys that have a little more speed, but we saw him impose on Enrique Coco with that size. I think when he has a closer size parity, his game will probably work more effectively because he's more comfortable playing that versus bigger guys in the room. Stylistically, I want to give him the edge here because I just think he'll be able to fire off his heel hook game and get it going from here.
And then we have the free prelims.
Everyone's favorite. So I just love the story of this guy getting on.
What,
it was
the
like
sewer rat?
The sewer rat.
Spencer
He did the first rat. He got knocked out in the first before he got into the house.
Yeah.
Craig Jones was like, can I bring the guy on as my assistant coach?
Yeah.
And they were like, sure.
Yeah.
Comes in, bald head, rat tail. And I went, I appreciate the character. And again, he faces another character, Mike. How do you say Mike's last name? Rakshan. The Sultan of Strangles, cool rack, like really well known in Jersey, Henzo, that kind of area. Was also on Who's Next. He had some antics and pranks. This is basically, this is the match. This is a fan match. It's like, hey guys, you want to see him go at it?
This is going to be the match where if something weird happens,
absolutely,
like it might be a pro wrestling match by the end of this thing.
Yeah, that again.
If it was a 15 minute pro wrestling match, I would giggle.
I would giggle too. Like I also
like, I'm okay with that.
These two guys really wouldn't be surprised.
Really
and so I don't know how to pick this one, but I do love that the Who's Next, like, they have made a matchup that we want to see that has a storyline to it and has a reason for it, and it's not just like number one, number two. It's like, you want to see the two guys that like had some personality to them. They were
Let's put them together,
like make them fight. Like I like this matchup. I don't know how this one is going to go. I do want to go and lean Mike because he did make it into the house, and that's just. I mean, we saw him recently at DC Open.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with him and his game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean him, but that's really the only reason. Spencer could absolutely surprise me. Next match, a really fun one. We have. Oh, I just lost my place here. There we go.
Braylor Grout
versus Luke Griffith. Luke Griffith is the guy that just won the European trials at 88.
88.
It was at 88. Mm-hmm. And Braylor, I don't know a ton about him.
He's from Legion, and he does the Darce.
Yeah, that's kind of his intro. He's like, he has a little teaser that's like, I'm a math major, a day trader, like I do the Darce, and I'm like, short and sweet, man. He didn't make it into the house either.
No, he didn't.
So Luke Griffith, again, this is where I lean into familiarity with someone's game. Like I know Luke Griffith's game a little better. He's from New Wave. He just won European Trials, which is a really big, for ADCC, a really big event. Like, I'm gonna lean Luke Griffin sort of on the credential, kind of on the credential line alone. I don't know enough about Spencer's game.
No.
I think Luke Griffith will be hip to the game that he does play. And again, the guys at Legion are very crafty. Mika, Keenan, Sloan, like those guys are putting out some great stuff, and you're seeing like a lot of the technical development of that gym that absolutely Braylor could come into and like completely surprise me. But Luke Griffith with that last performance at Trials makes me really want to.
And he was on Who's Number One.
Yeah, and Who's Number One as well. Previously, he finished it was a rear naked choke.
Yeah, like quick.
Like standing off of one of the wrestlers.
Yeah, like real fast.
Yeah, like
real
again,
fast.
those performances make me lean that I think he probably gets the back. He probably gets the choke in a very similar way to his finals match on both Who's Number One and on the ADCC Trials. So
and then our last match is Fabian Ramirez versus Maximilian Hansen.
Give the full name there.
I'll give the full name. Maximilian.
This is a fun one. Again, I'm not really sure how to pick this one either. Fabian's the guy that always wears the suit, the sailor hat.
Sailor hat, yeah.
That's kind of his look.
That's why I put on here sailor hat
Yeah,
guy. That's how I know.
Well,
him.
he's been doing it for years and years and years. Like I remember him. He did that. He started doing that probably 2018.
Yeah, that's how I find him.
Yeah, that's how I find him.
Yeah, and like, oh, sailor hat guy.
Yeah, that's Fabian. That's Fabian, 4-stringers guy. Yep.
Yep. But I think I go Maximilian on this one.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a size advantage here that Max is going to have because Fabian's a 45 or 55er.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortable. And Max is
larger because he lost to Kyle Chambers.
Yeah.
Well, no, he lost to Kyle Chambers, who's next, so that doesn't count. But he won against Gio Morelli, and Morelli was a 77.
Yeah.
Because he went against someone else we know at trials. So, yeah. So he's 77. So he's a little bit bigger because Fabian was 66.
Right, and pretty comfortably 66.
Yeah.
I don't think Fabian's cutting a ton to make it down to 66. But
And Max is also under Dante Leon and trains with him in Toledo, and I think that is a advantage for anyone.
Especially coming into a circuit like this in that sort of bracket. Like Dante's been there so many times, either on the big stages or like the Kasai's or ADCC or Who's Number One or pick all the events we've covered Dante on over the years. Not
saying that Fabian won't be able to bring it, but I think Max has a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, just in those sort of areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's a hard one to pick as well. 15 minutes, like absolutely could go either way. We've seen Fabian punch up weight classes, numerous times. It wouldn't surprise me, but give the edge to Max here overall. So that does it for our preview of Who's Number One, Who's Next finale.
It's guys, a lot of stuff to say.
It's a lot of who. There's
and
too many who's.
Thursday night.
That is weird.
At 8.
It is
7
weird.
Central
It's Thursday.
Time.
Looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Any other kind of closing thoughts on the card?
No, I would have loved to see. It's going to keep me up late, and I'm not very happy about that. But besides that,
Thursday. I would have loved to see
Thursday. I don't like staying up late on Thursday.
I would have loved to see Tim Spriggs, Craig Jones, and Gordon Ryan. Like one of those matches with Tim Spriggs. I'm kind of disappointed that they weren't able to work something out. I think this is probably why you sign the contracts before you announce the coaches, which is typically what the UFC does. For their finale, they're going to fight. Yeah. It was weird. It is weird to have this build up because everyone's like, oh, they're going to fight. I want to see that match again. I see how, because Tim Spriggs has gotten so much better since the last time they fought. Yeah. What does it look like? We're just not going to see it. So that's really disappointing. But overall, a bunch of super, super exciting matchups. And I like that they're continuing to push these guys on who's next. And that was the whole point of the show. It's let's make some jiu-jitsu stars. Let's put them forward and showcase them. And they're continuing to do that, which is great. Grappling needs more personalities and more showcase events and things like this. Yeah. Very, very happy that they did. Again, I hope that we see another one. I'm really happy that we're getting a full card finale for this one that features Gordon Ryan, because it's going to put a lot of eyes on these guys that may not have been there before, but that's the point of building and growing the sport, and that's the point of it, and it's awesome that they did that. Yeah. So moving on to the recap of Fight to Win 204. Just going to cover the main event for this one, run a little bit long.
In Reno, Nevada.
Yeah. We had Damon Ramos versus Colton Vaughn. Damon Ramos is under 99 or plus 99?
He is plus 99. He was second at East Coast Trials and fourth at West Coast Trials.
Yep. So gets the invite into ADCC. He just recently got it, right? Or has it for a while?
It was a recent invite, I believe.
There was some moving around at plus 99 or other divisions.
And he trains at Henzo Gracie in Reno. Yep. So he's a local.
Dude, Ramos looked good. He came out.
His shuck by was sweet. And
it was dirty.
And it was the same as he did at all of his East Coast and West Coast trials. He did the same. He does that same shuck. Yep. And it's a beautiful shuck.
And he hits guys. He hit Colton here.
Yeah.
And I just went ooh, that's going to be. Because I love when he does the shuck, though, because it's from standing. Yeah. And he gets all the way to your back when he does it. Yeah. And I went, and then he locks you at the bottom. He kind of drops you down. He drops you side control, but a really, really
almost
heavy,
your back,
almost on your back side control. And you're like, oh man, that is a rough position to fight, because he wraps up an arm when he does it too. Yeah. And he just kind of drops you down. And I went, and my video paused there as they shucked by, so I got a static image for 3 seconds of just the shuck, and I went, ooh, that's a rough position to recover from. And Colton does a good job, kind of regains composure. He
gets his guard back.
Yeah, he fights off the top side control position for a while. And I was really impressed that he was actually able to get Ramos off him long enough to like retain his guard.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like you have a lot, kind of a large deficit here on fight to win to come back from after that sequence.
Yeah.
And, the bunch of the top pressure that Ramos put on him, but was very impressed that he was able to get back to his guard in that sequence and remain composed.
And then it was just body lock passing.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Body lock passing and
Ramos.
back to the position that he was before. And it was really just
Ramos
just
like
controlling,
showing his game, passing and imposing on top, and really didn't let Colton throw up anything.
He had a very close game to Hulk.
Yeah.
Like him and Hulk had that same kind of wrestle heavy top game.
But like
body
shoulders
lock
down
passing.
into you when they're doing it, and like they don't ever let you really get frames in and push them away far enough. That's why people will push on Hulk's neck and face and push him just straight up and away.
Yeah.
Ramos again leans over his shoulders when he's doing this.
You just did that. I remember Giancarlo Bordoni likes the whole like neck grab.
Yeah.
Like he does the neck grab
From the
push.
center.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonder if he'll do that again.
Probably to J-Rod, definitely.
If he does it to J-Rod might jump on his arm and might get freaking on.
Yeah. That would be,
that would be
that
a
was an
problem.
exciting match.
Okay.
So really, and then Ramos at the end, was it a heel hook entry? He throws for a leg lock at the end.
Yeah, he goes for like a heel hook or some kind of leg lock at the end. He doesn't get anything out of
Colton
it.
does a really good job immediately of like addressing it, pulling out. I thought
Yeah.
it was deep for a second, and then Colton like remains composed
his
here,
knee out,
gets his knee out, fine, kind of starts to fire back in his zone, and Ramos gets up, and that's the match.
Yeah.
Really, again, another impressive performance from Ramos. More of what we've seen from him in the past week. I would venture a guess this is the game we're going to see him try to play at ADCC.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get you down for points. He's going to control you like we saw it at East Coast. We saw it at West Coast.
But he's in plus 99, and that is a rough go.
That has become a
That is a rough division.
A wild division. Plus 99 has always been a little bit like, been some stars and there have been some big guys, but this plus 99 is
imposing.
5 former champions. It's a bit different than it's ever really been in the past. Like to have that many people that have been to the highest level and won in the same division, multi-generations of people in the same division. That's a tough thing.
Has some of the older gentlemen.
Yeah.
That,
you have Cyborg, you have Vinny, you have guys that haven't won in a couple of events.
But I mean, have all that.
But have all the experience and knowledge.
Old men knowledge.
Yeah. And they also tend not to make tactical mistakes in matches.
They don't make bad decisions.
Yeah, that's the thing is like the veterans that have been there, they don't.
It might sometimes be a more boring match.
Yeah. They'll make old school meta decisions, but they're not going to make like, oh, he fucked that up. Like, they don't do that.
They don't make, and they're going to take advantage of someone making a mistake.
Yes.
You make a mistake and you're screwed.
Yeah, they're absolutely oh, cool, you did this thing you're not supposed to do in this rule set in this way that I'm very comfortable with, capitalizing on. I'm going to capitalize.
Yeah.
So, again, has a huge hill to climb at plus 99, but I'm very happy with
He'll be fun.
seeing him here, like that chuck, that throw by, that
he has
land is good.
And he's fast. He's quick.
Yeah, he's
quick for a plus 99.
He's quick for plus 99. I think we're starting to see more speed at plus 99 in a way that it's been creeping up over the years.
Yeah.
Plus 99 is getting really interesting because it is now no longer guys that, for the most part, there is definitely some that use like a size and strength advantage to guys. We're seeing much more, I'm going to beat this guy with more speed, and that is a really interesting development in plus 99. Again, plus 99, I was talking to John Hansen about it, trials winner for the East Coast trials for plus 99. He talks about, plus 99 is like character creation. You just slide the sliders from one to the other. And it's like, oh yeah, that is a really good way to put that because it's just, you just max them out in one direction or the other for like the kind of attribute the guy has. Makes for a really, really interesting division, especially with all the former champions. So that's all I got for Fight to Win.
Yep. I think that's all we got for the week of grappling.
You're back next week. We're doing a recap of this. I'm very excited. Should be fun. We have some
And we also have another Fight to Win. We have Fight to Win 205. I want to say it's in Albuquerque.
I think it is Albuquerque.
I went and looked, and they didn't have announced who was on.
Yeah, we don't have announcements for it yet, but Albuquerque is coming up, so we will cover that next week as well, but we just can't preview anything because we don't have it yet.
Yep.
But I'm super excited for them, like the matchmaking here. These are well matched things, and I love when we can talk about it in ways that I can picture a match going either way or
Yeah.
going two different ways. And we know enough about kind of all the grapplers and stylistically how they match up. We can make those sort of decisions. So
Yep.
should be a lot of fun. Anything happening this week for you?
Nope, training. Just the normal.
Nice.
Yeah.
My ribs are almost healed.
Did you mess up your ribs?
Did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I ripped him. I like tore the cartilage or
did you?
pulled the muscle like
That
a month
sucks.
ago. So I've been like training real light.
Oh, I've
for a little
heard.
bit and
I've heard
teaching.
about rib injuries. Knock on wood.
I've had.
I haven't been there yet.
This is the
Thankfully.
last one I had was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have competition footage of it. It was a white belt competition. And you see me like turn and then I like take the guy down and
Yeah.
you see me go make this weird face in the match. I'm like, oh, ribs popped out right there. And won the match. And then later I was like, oh, ribs hurt. My coach was like, hey, you tore your ribs. I went, oh, that really hurts a lot.
Yeah. It does.
So it's
I
been,
hear
but
it
it's been,
does.
it's been 8 or 9 years since I did it last. And so this was definitely way worse than the first one.
Yeah.
But it's floating ribs. And so I'm like, it's almost, I sneezed. I've been sneezing for like 3 weeks and it's been just horrific.
Well, as someone who's had a C-section, the easiest thing for stuff like that is to hug pillows. If you hug a pillow and cough,
Yeah, it's
or
like 3 days.
sneeze, it like holds it in.
The
there.
end of my story was going to be finally 3 days ago.
Yeah.
It was not horrifically painful when I spoke,
okay.
but I'd sneeze or cough or something like
yeah.
that.
Normally you hug a pillow.
Yeah, that would have been great to
That's-
know like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So-
If you have there's problems, ask me. I
Yeah,
have some
so
kind of weird.
but they're
knowledge
good
about
now.
things.
I'm back. I'm going to be back. I trained a little bit yesterday. Back
Either
to
that or
more
wear a
regular tra-
girder. You could wear a girder.
I thought about wearing like lacrosse pads.
That's what they
in the
give you.
center.
That's what they give you when you have a C-section. They give you one of those big binders.
Huh.
And you have a binder.
That's
And
wild.
it
So
holds you all.
I'm
you
just
know,
hopefully
inside.
look another 8-9 years. I'll have another rib injury. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, but then you're old enough. You can
Yeah.
get
I'm
through
hoping
those
look
things.
once a decade at this point. Like the first one wasn't great. This one's not been great,
Yeah.
but I'm almost through it. I'm gonna again. I'm always the injured guy. I'm gonna train a little.
Yeah.
A little smarter, and I
It's
guess.
because we're little people. It's
Yeah.
what happens to us. We get beat up and then we have to have
I was rolling
surgery.
with a guy that was 100 pounds bigger than me and made a mistake.
Oh,
and-
did you?
Yeah,
Oh, that
it's fine.
sucks.
So yeah, but I'm good. I'm mostly healed back up now. Gonna back
That's
to
good.
training, and I'm hopefully gonna end up competing here in the next couple of months now. It's
That's
healed,
good.
and I can go back and do it.
Nice.
So
Nice.
all right. Well, that does it for the show. As always on the show, I'm your host Maine, my co-host,
Miranda.
and we are the Grappling. We're on the mat. What it is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Google Plus,
Until that shuts down.
we have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.